Okay, guys, so for 1.4, we are solving literal equations. Your essential question is, how will solving a literal equation help me evaluate equations more efficiently? So the purpose of all of this is so that later we can evaluate equations efficiently. The good news is that there is only one step to solving a literal equation. So I didn't even write step 1. I just told you what it was. You are going to use inverse operations, which we should be used to that term by now, right? The opposite of whatever it is we're doing, to isolate the indicated variable. So you are going to get an equation that or a formula that has more than one variable in it. And then I'm going to tell you, solve for y. And you're going to use inverse operations to get y by itself. Okay? Example 1. You can buy 10 pizzas and 5 sandwiches from Dodson's Deli. Yum. For $80. How many sandwiches can you buy if you buy 3 pizzas? How many sandwiches can you buy if you buy 6 pizzas? So you only have $80 to spend. Okay? We know for sure that you can buy 10 pizzas and 5 sandwiches for $80. For the same $80, I want to know how many sandwiches you can get if you only buy 3 pizzas and how many you can get if you buy 6 pizzas. So before we start this problem, we need to identify a couple of variables. What are the 2 unknowns, or what would be my 2 variables for this problem? AJ. Cost of pizzas and cost of the sandwiches. So, Christian, what variable do you want to assign pizzas? P. Okay, so we have to write this down though, right, ladies and gentlemen? So P equals the cost of a pizza. And what variable do we want to assign sandwiches, Karina? S. So S equals the cost of a sandwich. Could I have used X and Y instead of P and S? Yes. It doesn't matter what variables you choose as long as you tell me what each variable represents. So we can write an equation using the information that was given to us. 10 pizzas plus 5 sandwiches is $80. So there's your equation. 10P plus 5S equals 80. So then my question is, I am telling you different amounts of what that I can plug in? Pizzas or sandwiches? What am I asking you to plug in? Pizzas, right? So sandwiches is going to be how many sandwiches? That's going to be the variable we want to solve for. So we want to isolate S. Okay? We want to isolate S. How can I isolate S? Jen, first step. Divide by 5 will be part of it, but remember, isolating a variable means we do order of operations backwards. So what do we need to do first, Christian? Not quite. What else, Jen? Try again. Subtract 10p. We're trying to get 5s by itself, so subtract 10p from both sides. So on the left, I have 5s equals 80 minus 10p. I cannot combine 80 minus 10 because these are not like terms. So we just leave it. Have I isolated s? Elizabeth, have I isolated s? No. I have 5 times s. So what can I do, Jen, to get the s by itself? Now we divide by 5. So divide both sides by 5. And we get s equals. Can I simplify that right-hand side? Yeah, I actually can. So remember how we could split that up into 80 divided by 5 minus 10p divided by 5? That's the distributive property, right? We can reduce these. 80 divided by 5 gives me what? 16? I'm just going to go with it. What do you guys think? Yeah? Okay. Minus 10 divided by 5? 2. So minus 2p. Okay. We solved for sandwiches in the literal equation. How does this make it more efficient to solve the second part of the question? So now we're going to plug in 3 for p and 6 for p. How does what we just did make it faster to do the second part of the equation?
You don't have to keep figuring what s is.
Yeah, we don't have to keep figuring out what s is. Now we can just plug in numbers for p. So you guys ready to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So underneath, I'm going to erase this really quick. So let me take this off. Our equation was what, AJ? Remind me? S equals 16 minus 2p. Okay, so now I want to solve for how many sandwiches we can get if p equals 3, and then when p equals 6. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 side-by-side equations here. Guess what? We just plug it in. So s equals 16 minus 2 times 3. Please make sure that you are indicating where we are actually plugging stuff in. So p here, I'm plugging in 3, 4p there. And then I do need to see your steps. So this is something on the homework that I have noticed that some of you are not showing me your steps. So that gives me s equals 16 minus 2 times 3 is 6. So s equals 10. So I can buy 10 sandwiches if I only buy 3 pizzas. Solve right now. How many sandwiches can I buy if I bought 6 pizzas? Just write on it like that. Okay?
Okay.
You can just write it. I know it's different. There you go. Good job. So as I pass this around to you guys, you will notice that it is not easy to write on this thing. Okay, so somebody else explain to me what Lily did. Kiki.
She put the number of pizzas they want to buy, into where the p would be. So it was 2 times 6 equals 12, and then she subtracted 16 minus 12 to get 4.
Yes, thumbs up if you agree. Excellent. So when we can make an equation out of a problem, if they're asking us to solve for something specific, what you want to do is try and get that variable by itself first before you start plugging stuff in. because it was much faster to do the p equals 3 and p equals 6 after we had already isolated x. So example 2, I give you the equation ax minus bx equals c, and I want you to solve for x. Is our answer going to have actual numbers in it? No, that's okay. All right, so our answer won't have actual numbers in it because our equation doesn't have numbers in it. But we are going to try and isolate the variable x. So let's think about what we could do here. Look at the equation. What do you notice? As I am looking at this equation, I notice that A has an x and B has an x. Do we know a property that we could use to get those x's out of there? Did we learn about a property last week? Tell your neighbor. Lynette, did we learn a property last week? Distributive property. Ladies and gentlemen, is this the distributive property? It is, except when we take the letter or the variable or the number out, it's the distributive property in reverse. So watch what I can do. I can rewrite this as x times a minus b equals c. Why does this work? If I were to distribute x into the equation or into the parentheses, would I end up with what I started with? Yeah. So we just did the distributive property in reverse. Now, I want to isolate x, meaning I want to get that x by itself. Currently, x is being multiplied by the quantity of a minus b. What is the inverse operation of multiplication, Brianna? Division. So we divide both sides by the quantity of a minus b. Because let's think about it. A minus b divided by a minus b reduces to 1. And we have just x on the left-hand side. What do we have on the right-hand side? We have c divided by a minus b. Can we do anything else with those variables? So you just leave it. So x equals c over a minus b. Now, if I were to give you a, b, and c, we could plug them in really quick and solve for x super fast. If I didn't, you would have to do order of operations, multiply, then divide, and it would take a lot longer. Okay, so that's the whole purpose of all of this, is that it makes it quicker when I actually give you things to plug in. Example 3 is, what is the radius of a circle with a circumference of 46 feet? What is the radius of a circle with a circumference of 46 feet? Do we have a formula for using radius and circumference? Yes. What's the formula, Kiki? Do you know? Does anybody remember? So we know that circumference equals diameter times pi. D pi. And the diameter is what, ladies and gentlemen? Christian? Diameter, yeah, so I'm going to draw it off to the left. In a circle, your diameter is what goes all the way across, and the radius is halfway. So diameter is 2r, is how we write it. So the actual equation that we want is circumference equals 2 pi r. Okay, 2 times r is how we get the diameter times pi. But that's just the way that we list them. So circumference is 2 pi r. I promise you that on a test or a quiz, I will give you the formulas. You are not expected to have all of these memorized for this unit. Okay, so the question is, and I want you guys to underline this, what is the radius? Remember how we annotate, put your question mark there? What is the radius? So we're going to try and isolate r. Well, 2 times pi times r, everything is attached by what? Multiplication. So, Malika, how do we undo multiplication? Division. So we divide by 2 pi. Because watch, 2 pi divided by 2 pi reduces to 1. So we have r equals c divided by 2 pi. Put a box around that. Do they give you a value to substitute? Yeah. Circumference is 46 feet. We double underline that, right? Circumference is 46 feet. So I'm going to plug in 46 for C. So R equals 46 divided by 2 pi. You can use a calculator. I can do 46 divided by 2, which is 23. So 23 that reduces to 23 divided by pi, which is approximately, does anybody have a calculator? 23 divided by 3.14. 7.32 what? Feet. Ladies and gentlemen, if you had left your answer as 23 over pi feet, is that also correct? Yes. We do not always substitute 3.14 in for pi. And actually, we usually only do it when I'm asking you to measure like in terms of feet, inches, centimeters, that kind of thing. Okay? But if you give me 23 over pi, that is actually more exact than 7.32. Okay?